This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, welcome everybody. We are at the last fast track coaching call that will ever be held in the month of May in the year 2025. And I am so delighted that we are here to share this experience with you. Welcome, Susan, Star, Liberty, Cheryl, Jason, Bob, and to those who will be joining us in the next few minutes. Bob is going to be our guest coach today, leading us through some of the peculiarities of the buyer tenant rep agreement. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But first, we like to always do a check in and say, how are things going in your business? What are the highs, the lows, the in betweens, the questions, problems, issues, anything going on this week that you want to put on the table and talk about? Okay.
Frank, this is Cheryl. I
Yes,
just
sir.
wanted to say I listed my house, co-listed it with Susan, sold it in 10 days for cash and already closed.
Oh my goodness gracious, be still my heart. That,
And got the price that I was hoping for.
So you're
wow.
on the street now? Living on the street?
Yeah, I'm living on the street now. If you know any good houses that
Too bad Kevin Williams isn't here because he has a ministry to the homeless.
Oh,
Yeah, that's true.
awesome. I have to give him a call.
He helps them buy homes. Well, that's great. So that's a 10-day success story partnership with two of our agents.
Yeah,
All
Susan did a kick butt job with the open houses, so a big thank you to her.
Yeah, she's great at
Aw, thank you, Cheryl. You're awesome.
that. So I'll tell you, I'll bring some yin to the yang here. I'm supposed to be closing today on a home that was supposed to close 2 weeks ago. And we did a 2 week extension so the buyer could finish out the financing. And we're not closing. We're getting no communication from the buyer side. We still, believe it or not, have never even had contact information on the lender. We know who it is, Chase Bank, California. That's it. They will
Ooh.
not share a loan officer name or phone number. So it's been very frustrating. And it's a $500,000 sale, so it's a nice payday. And so today we're presenting them with an extension offer. We're going to give them 2 more weeks, but we're requiring an additional $5,000 earnest money deposit,
Yes.
and we are removing the financing contingency.
Mhm.
So the two options are, if they don't sign this amendment, they don't close today, they're in default, the seller's keeping the earnest money.
Mhm.
If they do sign the amendment, now they're $10,000 at risk with no financing contingency. So in 2 weeks, the seller's going to get $10,000 if they don't close. So, but the sellers obviously would prefer to close, but they're either going to get a $5,000 payday today, a $10,000 payday in 2 weeks, or they're going to close on that house. So, anyways, we've kind of boxed the buyer in. It's put up or shut up time, and but
Kind
that's
of a
that's
win-win-win.
yeah, yeah. So, anyways, if it falls apart, it's going back on the market. We'll sell it to somebody else. All right. But this stuff happens. And I just share that to say, not every deal closes in 10 days. Sometimes they're a struggle. But I am closing on one on Monday, I'll tell you. Same client that's on their purchase, which was not contingent on the sale of this one that's struggling. And that's a good one. That's a $680,000 sale. So keep Mary and Diet Coke for a couple more
You're,
weeks.
you're, you're buying for the homeless dinner?
I'm going to have a big pot of soup. You come get it anytime, Cheryl.
I can tell
I'll
you
share.
from
Okay, Liberty, you're
experience.
up.
You guys are gonna need to keep it down because I'm trying to write a contract right now. Okay, I'm just saying we did all the negotiations. It was a referral. Now y'all are distracting me a little bit. That's my good news for the day.
Sweet distraction. Well, congratulations, Liberty. That's
Yeah.
that's awesome. And if you get stuck while we're on the call, ask any. We have the brain trust assembled here, so feel free to ask any questions as you work through that.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have some news we can use?
Frank, can I just
Yes.
throw something out at you?
Yeah, sure. We'll go to Star. Go ahead.
Susan and I are going to host a parade of model homes for Sitterly Homes in Conroe on June the 14th. It's going to be to honor Father's Day. So Susan and I'll send something out to the team, but you're all welcome to drop by. But it's to honor Father's Day, all fathers, but we'll host it at Sitterly Homes in Conroe.
Okay. Yeah, send something out. I'll send it out to all of our agents.
Okay, super. Thank you, guys.
You bet. And Star, I think you had your hand up. What's going on, Star?
Yes, congratulations to all your success stories. I just want to chime in. I myself had a closing on Wednesday, and I had a goal to close at least one home a month, and we're going on to our 6th month, and I'm right on target.
All right. All right. Helps to have a good goal, doesn't it? I saw you post something like that on Facebook, and then I had to log off before I got a chance to respond to it. But very, very happy for you, Star. I'm not surprised, but very happy for you. Let me give you just a quick overview of what's going on in the market. We all feel it, of course, but HAR stats for the month of April, which we don't have May yet, of course, because we're still in it. But the downturn happened around the 1st of April. The active listings are up 35% from where they were a year ago. And that just means they're not selling. It's not that more people are listing. It's that they're just sitting on the market. Price increase. And I'm going to ask, this is open question. What do you think the average price increase, average home sale price or list price increased from 2024 to 2025? 1 year of appreciation. How much do you think it was?
4.5%.
50K.
50K. That's a number. Give me a percentage. How much?
4.5%.
4.5% says Bob.
Just a guess.
I'm with Bob.
4.5%. That would be in line with historic appreciation rates, 3 to 4%. The actual number, 0.01%. In other words, really no increase. In one entire year of appreciation, we're absolutely flat with 35% more inventory. So if your sellers are complaining, this is why. And these, by the way, these are the kind of stats that you can share with them when you're explaining what you're doing to sell their home, because they're probably thinking you're not doing your job.
Right.
And you can say, let me share with you everything I am doing, and this is what we're up against, 35% more inventory. And by the way, open houses, interesting statistic. In April, we're up 31% from 2024. So we have all this more inventory and all these more open houses, which to me is a sign that real estate agents realize I can't just put it with some good pictures on the MLS. I've got to be out there proactively marketing, trying to stir something up. Now I'll just give you one more statistic to kind of support what we're all feeling right now in the marketplace. Listing views on HAR in the last 8 weeks. So right before the tariffs were announced, listing views on HAR were averaging 16,000 views a week. They have dropped this week to 6,000. So there's been a drop of almost 2/3 of buyers looking at new listings on the MLS. So that, my friends, is why you're feeling that some chill has come over the market. It has. Now, people are still buying, people are still selling, but the overall numbers have significantly declined in the last 8 weeks. Now, I'm getting out my crystal ball. Here we go. I'm going to rub it real hard. I think things are probably going to pick up in the next 8 weeks and then tail off again towards the fall. But I think we have a real opportunity in the next 8 weeks because, frankly, the news has been good. Unemployment figures are good. Stock market is rebounding. We've worked out tariff deals with China and Europe. So there should be a little bit more confidence over the next 8 weeks. So if you've got some listings, this is the time to really be active in hosting open houses, advertising them, following up on every showing, trying to get a deal locked down before we hit our summer slump around the 1st of August. Okay. All right, Mr. Adams has joined us. Welcome. Good to have you on here, Larry. Like to see that name down in the corner. Speaking of open houses, I have plenty of opportunities, and Bob has plenty of opportunities. Trina Hofflin reached out to me with an opportunity. So if you are open to hosting an open house on Saturday or Sunday, tomorrow or the next day, let me or Bob know, and we'll get you hooked up. Okay.
Can I add to that real quick,
Yes,
Frank?
go ahead, Susan.
Just real quick, Billy Gilly,
Yes.
he's now with EXP. He also has a range of open houses if anybody's interested. I'm hosting one for him, but he had asked if there's anybody in the Seabrook area. He's got a listing coming up. I didn't know if we had any agents out in the Seabrook area.
None come to mind,
Okay.
but I've got a listing. That one I was telling about they're supposed to close today is in Baytown. So there are plenty of us who don't mind driving anywhere in the metro area for a sale or a possible sale. So anybody's interested in Seabrook, jump on that one. Also, Cheryl has got the ends with Mike Cedar and Company. So don't forget, if you're interested in doing something on a big listing, $1 million listing, or something out in Bender's Landing, Cheryl can hook you up there. Okay. All right. Any other comments, objections? Y'all are like, Frank?
Frank, I just want to mention one thing.
Go ahead, Bob.
Beware of California lenders.
Oh, gosh.
You brought that up, and I learned
Yeah.
that a long time ago. I had the same thing happen, and I basically got ghosted.
Yes.
And they did not follow through. And if it's a local lender, always try to work with a local lender because you can always drive to their office and sit in front of their desk if you have to. It's kind of hard to do if they're in California.
Yeah, that's
So,
the issue.
yeah. So
Yeah, my
just
buyers.
beware of that when you're working with a buyer or even a seller, a listing, and you get a contract. Check out where the lender is and that information. Do it up front if you can, because it could be a tougher situation.
Yeah, it's Chase Bank, California, and they frankly don't care. The buyer's agent told me they don't care. They're used to doing $1 million loans, multi-million. This is a $500,000. They just don't care. He can't get responses out of them. So that's a very good point. To say it a little more graphically, Bob, you should never work with a lender that you can't go and choke. Get your hands around their neck. If they're not close enough to go choke
Oh,
them,
gee, that's funny.
you don't want to work with them. Okay, and they know that. They should be very afraid of letting you down. Okay, so Bob is going to lead us in a discussion for a few minutes about the buyer-tenant rep agreement. Bob, have you got that agreement pulled up on the screen?
Not on the screen, but it is in. I can flip over to it. How do I pull it on the screen?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make you the presenter.
Okay.
There you go. And now you should have a share screen option, perhaps down at the bottom of your screen.
I've got optimized for video. Oh, here, screen sharing. I have to open system preferences. It says to grant permission.
Well, I've given you permission.
Well, my choices are optimized for video or include go-to interface.
Okay, it should actually say share. If it's not doing that, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Bob. I'm going to pull it up on my screen.
Okay.
Let's see. Let me get to HAR real quick and pull it up here. And this will be a blank one as opposed to a live one.
Uh-oh, I'm gonna have to remember what's in them.
I'm looking for representation. Okay. Buyer tenant rep agreement. You want to go long form?
Yeah.
Okay. Long form it is. All right. And
Frank,
now,
before we actually get into it, you want to just kind of lay out the basics, meaning the changes that we've had, using the short form, using the buyer rep agreement, whereas in the old days we could show a house and get to know them and then have them sign the agreement. But how
yeah.
all that changed on my wife's birthday last year.
Yeah, her birthday must be in August because that's when everybody's world changed.
Yep.
Um, let's see. Let me get this up on the screen first, so I'm not trying to talk and
Walk and chew gum.
navigate at the same time. Okay, so I've got it on my screen. It's just not finding it on my go-to. Let's see here. Let me close that, and go to tab audio, dismiss, share. Oh, okay. Y'all are seeing the screen now, aren't you?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Let me open that one and then open the representation agreement. And
Make it bigger.
okay. Did it just pop onto your screen there? The buyer tenant rep agreement?
No, it still has a forms manager on mine.
For some reason, it's not showing up. Let me try it one more different way. No, I'm not going to do that. And okay, now it's down, it's saved, and there it is. That's the short form. Well, this is frustrating. Let me okay. All right. Let me talk through the changes, and then if we have to, I'll just navigate and share some of the important points, and probably have to ask you to pull it up, each of you, on your own screen to see it as I go through. But here's the situation. As Bob mentioned in the past, we would go show somebody a home, perhaps a sign call off our listing, and we didn't know the person, and we didn't ask them to sign anything in advance because we wanted to show our value. We didn't want to scare them off before they met us. And then once we established our value, we would ask them to sign, sometimes not until we were actually submitting an offer. That changed in August. Now we're not legally allowed to show a home without a representation agreement that includes compensation. And I'm telling you, the word has gotten out. I've not found it difficult at all. I was working with a $4 million buyer earlier this week. I met the couple, man and wife, for the first time on Tuesday, right before we were to go do the showing. And I had them meet me at another house that was listed because I knew it had a table in it. We could sit down and talk. And so we met there, and I went through the paperwork with them, and I just simply explained it like I explained it to you. The law changed last August. Now you have to sign a representation agreement with compensation for me to be able to show you the home. I said, you've probably heard about this. They nodded their heads. And I said, because we've just met, and you don't know if you want to work with me long term or not, or I with you, although you seem like wonderful people, I'm going to make this representation agreement applicable to only the property that I'm about to show you. And if you like it, we'll go forward. If you don't like it, then you will have a choice. Do you want to continue working with me and have me show you other houses? But I'm not going to obligate you right now to being in a relationship with me for the next several months for any home. Does that sound fair? They were very, very open to that, and they signed it. That deal did not go through, by the way. And afterwards, they said to me, we would be happy for you to help us find another home. Now that relationship had come to me as a referral from another agent who was unavailable. So I declined and I flipped it back over to the agent who had given it to me. So I'm not working with them, but that dialogue was something that they were very comfortable with. So
Frank,
yes, go ahead, Bob.
did you have them sign the full buyer's rep or the one pager for that
The
one?
one, yeah, one pager. The one pager is less intimidating. If you've got a strong relationship, you should probably use the long form. It's got more verbiage, more explanatory verbiage in it that I like to point out, including, a more detailed description of this compensation will be sought first from the seller or the listing broker. But if I'm meeting them for the first time, I'm trying to be as unintimidating as possible.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to try just one more time to share this. And if I can't get it on the screen, then, I know how I can. Let me try one more time. Okay, here goes. And there's the short form. This is the long form. Share this tab instead.
Yay.
All right. Don't you love it when a plan comes together?
Voila, success.
All right. So okay, Bob, no, you just talk us through this and I'll push it forward, up and down as we go at your direction. Go ahead, Bob.
Can you make the screen bigger, or at least the form bigger in the screen?
Let's see here.
There
How about
you
that?
go. That's better.
Okay, you got it.
Okay, well, Frank already discussed kind of when to use these documents and how to present them. It can be uncomfortable at times. Number one, I say you need to be confident. Okay. Here's something I learned through many years of working with buyers and sellers, especially buyers, is that you have to be confident. You're the expert. I have found, and Frank could probably agree, the easiest, typically for me through the years, the easiest clients to deal with are the $1 million plus clients. And that's because they understand responsibility, authority. You're the one that's trained to do this, so they defer to your expertise, your abilities. And so you want to always, you're the one that went to school. You're the one that got your license and passed all those exams. So you're the expert. Don't ever forget that, no matter who the client is or are. And so when you present these documents, like Frank did with that client, you want to make it clear to them that it's number one, it's a requirement. You're not allowed to show the property without having the signed agreement. But the other part of it is the softening of that by identifying two elements in a buyer's rep agreement that can soften that blow. One is, of course, you can restrict it to just a particular property or properties, and the other is you can restrict the time frame. You can have it for 1 day, for 3 days. Maybe you're showing some houses on the weekend and they don't know you, and so you put it through the weekend. And that's one way that you can, like I say, soften the blow. I've always had the easy exit plan. I don't make a big deal of it, but I always let them know that, at any time, if they're not satisfied with the service, I ask one thing. I say, give me an opportunity. Let's discuss it. Give me 24 hours. Let's talk about it. Because I may be doing something that offends them or whatever. And after that, if you still want to terminate, you can. In 22 years now, I've had one client that canceled. It was a listing, and she wanted to take the house off the market, and she went under the pretense that I wasn't doing my job. It turned out she didn't want to sell the house. So um, you give them that opportunity. You want to put them at ease. If you came up in to these buyers that you've never known, you've talked to them on the phone or on the email or whatever, and you come in with this document, you say, here, sign here, press hard. They would definitely be, I don't want to do this. They're afraid to do that. So you kind of put them at ease with those limitations. But like Frank said, if it's somebody you know well and they've worked with you, they know you, you could go ahead and pull it. My default is 6 months on a buyer's rep agreement. My default is to the last day of the 6th month. So if the 6th month is, say, September, even though we sign it on the 3rd of the month, I'll have it go through September 30th. That way I know they all end at the end of the month. And it just kind of makes it easier to keep up with and track. You can extend it if you do it for a shorter period. I don't like doing it for, 30 days, 90 days or whatever, if you're going to be working with them. So that's just something to keep in mind on doing it. So Frank has us scroll down here to the definitions, and that's where number 4, you see the term again. It
Yep.
starts on a day and ends on a day at 11:59 p.m. Okay, so begins on. This allows you to actually meet with a client, talk to them, but you don't have to. If you're not showing them a home until this coming weekend, you don't necessarily need to start it today. It's whenever you're actually going to be showing them homes. Now, I like to do it, as soon as possible, have it begin as soon as possible. If I'm meeting with them, I like having it begin on that day. But again, you're dealing with the comfort level for your prospective client, and but it does have a start date. So that's very clear on the term right there. And I recommend something that Frank has been a great example for. When you have these documents, there's such a tendency to just learn what the fill in the blanks are.
Mm.
And if you're like me, you'll pull up a former one that you've done before. You'll pull it up, make sure you remember to put everything that's apropos in the blanks. Um, but there's a lot of good stuff in those numbered, like a broker's obligation, client's obligation. It's good to know and maybe refresh yourself every once in a while on what the document says, because that can give you a big advantage. Plus, it protects you legally, can protect you and your broker, and also gives a comfort level to your client that they know and understand what it says. I remember an agent. We went to school together, classes together, and he got his license, and eventually he became a broker and actually had a brokerage. I guess he still does. But I always remember his method was he would meet with prospective clients and he would shove the document in front of them, have them sign it. He wouldn't even go through it. He had already filled it out and signed it. And I mean, he's a friendly guy and all, and I guess people would sign it. But I remember thinking, wow, that is just, to me, one of the key things. Old car. What's the D in old car? Y'all remember? Old car, obedience, loyalty, disclosure.
Ah,
Disclosure. You want them, you don't want them in the dark at all. You don't ever want them coming back. Well, I never knew this. He never explained this, or she never explained it. So you just want to go through and have make sure that there's an understanding there. All right, 7A. This is kind of the when it gets fun for us. It's called broker compensation. Who does the client pay technically? Does he pay the listing agent? Anybody know?
No.
No, pays the
Who
broker.
pays the broker? There you go. Pays the broker. When I was teaching at Champions, I would put on the board and show how an agent got paid, and I'd go through the process, kind of follow the money, as they say, so that folks can kind of see how the money flows. But right here, it spells out the broker's fee. When earned and payable, client will pay the broker, complete all that apply. What is a client? What would you think a client is?
You have to have a
Someone
signed
signed
agreement.
up agreement.
Signed agreement.
Okay. Yeah, right. So if they don't sign an agreement, what are they called?
Customer.
Very good. Very good. Customer. They're just a customer until they've signed the agreement, whether it's on the listing side or the buyer side. Very good. All right. So in this case, it's a client. Um, will pay the broker, complete all that apply. And you got for purchases, X% of the sales price or a flat fee of blank dollars. Or, and they underline or. So it's either or. This isn't for putting a bonus in there. So they're gonna pay us 3% plus $10,000. And then you've got for leases, X% of 1 month's rent or blank percent of all rents to be paid over the term of the lease or a flat fee of blank dollars. So with leases, what's the typical percentage for 1 month's rent that each side
50%.
would get? 50%. Yeah, that's quite typical. Not, everything's negotiable. We know that. But what this is saying is if you put 50% in that first line there, 50% of 1 month's rent, and that tenant leases the property for a 3-year lease. Okay. So how much will that broker get in that case?
Half a month.
Half a month. Okay. Notice though, if you put in the second line, the second blank, 50%, and they're in a 3-year lease, how much will that broker get? Or not 50%, whatever
Thousands.
the percent is. Right. No, no. Whatever the percent is. But the difference I'm saying here is that the second blank is paid over the term of the lease. Okay. And it's going to be whatever percentage is negotiated. Point
So,
being that if they're signing a long-term lease, for example, and this will allow the broker to collect based on a long-term lease more so.
hey,
Right.
Bob. Yeah. So I did the math on this, and half a month's rent on a 12-month lease is 4.16% of all
Mhm.
rents to be paid under that 12-month lease.
Right.
So if you put 4.16% in this blank, the second blank under leases, 4.16% of all rents to be paid over the term of the lease, then you're going to maintain that rate of half a month's commission for every year of the lease. So on a 3-year lease, you would be paid the equivalent of 1.5 months rent. So
50% for each year.
that's right, you triple your revenue
Yes.
over just putting a 50% of 1 month's rent. So that's a very important number for a leasing agent to remember, 4.16%. There you
I
go.
think it's 4.167 to be exact. But
Actually, it's half of 8.33. So
yeah, right, right.
because
Yeah.
8.33 is 1/12 of the rent paid in a year.
Yes.
So yes.
Now, let me ask you, Frank, on that along the same lines there. Let's say you have a client, they're leasing this property for a year. They end up staying for 3 years.
hmm
If you put 50% in the first blank, are you going to collect for 3 years?
So in the lease agreement itself, compensation is addressed. and you can put that you'll be receiving compensation if the lease is renewed.
Okay, so, but if you had put the 4.16 in the second blank, well, it says over the term of the lease, so that would
Yeah,
still be the
yeah.
one year.
Any renewals have to be dealt with in the lease agreement itself.
Okay, good. Okay, everybody get that part? All right, I keep wanting to scroll up here.
Wait, so do the listing agent or the landlord have to pay this?
So no, this is paid by the client. But well, Bob, you can go ahead and talk about paragraph B there.
All right, source of compensation. Broker will seek to obtain payment of the fees specified in paragraph 7A, the one we just had there, first from the seller, landlord, or their agents. If such person, notice it's underlined, if such persons refuse or fail to pay broker the amount specified, client will pay the broker the amount specified less any amounts broker receives from such persons. Frank, go ahead. Would you mind kind of explaining that more in depth? You have
Yeah.
more
So yeah,
legal mind.
when you present an offer, either to purchase or to lease, it needs to include a request for compensation, typically from the seller or the landlord. In some cases, it's being offered by the listing broker. But so that's a question you need to ask. Whenever you're presenting an offer, ask the listing agent who is offering compensation to the buyer's or the tenant's representative. And they'll typically tell you that the landlord or the seller will consider compensation with a good offer, or in some cases, they'll say the listing broker is providing that compensation. So knowing that, you're going to structure your offer to include whatever amount of compensation you have in your representation agreement. You want to include in the offer getting that amount of compensation from the seller. And and I will tell you, I've probably had 30 representation contracts close since this happened in August, and I have never yet had a seller or landlord refuse to offer compensation. So this actually, everybody was scared of this when the law went into effect last August. But I know that I have made thousands of dollars more under this new law than I would have otherwise, because now the buyer doesn't mind putting a full 3% in here because we're explaining it's going to be paid by the seller or the landlord. But and then the seller or the landlord actually pays it because we're presenting an offer that they want to accept. So buyer agents are getting, and it's the same way on the sell side. I think agent compensation has gone up under this new plan, and so I'm very fond of it.
Yeah, I had a client who was purchasing a home, and the listing agent was, or it was posted, or I'm sorry, I was notified that they were paying 2.5%. And so I had 3% in the buyer's rep, and my client was very happy to pay that
Yep.
difference. Um, and so I was able to collect my fee from both parties, both sides, but
Yes.
that's what happened at closing, and they were very happy with that. So beware, because you can shortchange yourself if you don't know how the numbers work. You don't, you're not. I hope you're not volunteering as an agent, but that you're actually working for income on this
Yes.
situation.
And Bob, we only have about 5 minutes left. Is there
Oh
anything
wow!
in particular that you wanted to highlight?
Yeah,
In the
let's see. Keep scrolling. Boy, that time went fast.
well,
Protection period. Um, I'll typically put 30 days in there. If if they end the buyer's rep agreement, that doesn't necessarily mean that you've got them locked in for 30 days. Okay, if they sign a buyer's rep agreement with someone else the next day, then your deal's off. This is typically to protect you if you have, let's say, gone under contract with them. They can't then change agents and you lose your compensation in that case.
So, Bob, I was involved in a big deal this week, a multi-million-dollar property, when the former listing agent would have had a claim to a six-figure commission, but he failed to do one thing that shows up in all these protection period paragraphs. Look at the second sentence. Not later than 10 days after this agreement ends, broker may send client written notice identifying the properties called to client's attention during this agreement. In this case, it was a listing agent. They were supposed to provide the seller a list of the prospects who had seen the home during the listing period. He failed to do that. And because of the sellers caught it, and they said, we are not going to pay him the commission agreed to, even though we're selling the property to someone who saw it when he had it listed, because he failed to provide that list. So
well, there's
just you always
perfect example of what I said early on, to read these documents, know what they say, because you're just thinking, well, I'll put 30 days in the blank, and you miss that second sentence and
That's
could
right.
cost you six figures in that case. Wow.
Yes.
I bet he doesn't do that again.
Very costly lesson. So there's two things that have to happen for you to collect under a protection period. One, you have to have submitted the list. And then two, the client cannot have entered into another representation agreement. If they do that as a seller or as a buyer, then there is no protection. You have no right to make a claim on it.
Good. H, we're in Travis County is where EXP
Yep.
headquartered. So y'all put Harris County in there, not the one you live in.
Put Travis.
Travis. What'd I say? Travis
Harris.
County. Yeah. Austin. Yeah. Sorry, gang. Travis County. Let's see what else. Intermediary, of course, real quick. Go back just a little bit, Frank. Go down the other way. I'm sorry. Yeah, up. All right, intermediary. You want to check box A. You want to be able to represent an intermediary, especially as many EXP properties and agents that are out there. If you've got a buyer or if you've got a listing, you want to be able to have it sold on an intermediary status. So another EXP agent. Now you can have it with or without, where the agent is compensated as representing both sides or not, or just a different agent. But this intermediary status here, if you check the second box, B, doesn't allow for intermediary status, so you can't have an EXP and EXP both in the transaction. In all my 22 years, I've never checked box B. So
that's right.
Have you, Frank?
Never.
Okay. All right.
It's foolish. Okay. Since we're right at the finish line, does anybody have a question about the agreement that we have not addressed? Well, that's pretty comprehensive. Oh, go ahead. I thought I heard a question. Okay. So let me stop sharing and get back over here. Oh, stop sharing. How about that? All right. So any other, apart from the buyer rep agreement, thank you so much, Bob, for walking us through that. Any issues, questions that you want to put on the table before we wrap? I don't want anybody to leave feeling like I meant to get this question asked and I didn't. Cheryl?
Okay. No, I'm good. I'm totally good. Awesome job.
So I wondered. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I've got a very busy day ahead of me. I just made note of 4 contracts I need to work on. So I'm going to get busy on that. But love you guys. Appreciate you being here so much. Bob, thanks for your help today. And let us know anytime we can help. We're here for you.
Great. Thanks, Frank.
Uh-huh.